Today's story is called The Rainbow Covenant. It follows last week's lesson, which was called The Flood. To teach it, you will need all the materials from last week's lesson, as well as a box titled The Rainbow Promise. Our story today comes from God's true book, the Bible. In it, we have God's words on how much He loves us and how much He wants us to know Him and obey Him. Our story today comes from Genesis chapter 6 through Genesis chapter 9. And if you'd like to read it when you go home today, ask your parents to open the Bible and help you read it. We remember from last week that God was so disturbed about how people lived. Hundreds of years had passed by since Adam and Eve had lived. And while they had told their children about God, and their children had told their children's children, by now the people didn't care what God wanted them to do. They did whatever they wanted. They stole, they killed, they left their wives, they left their husbands. The worst thing of all is they no longer loved God. They no longer worshiped Him. But there was one family that loved God so much, just one. And the father of the family was Noah. Noah taught his family to love God. He taught his family to obey Him, to do what God had said, and to worship Him, and to love Him more than anyone else. While Noah's family wasn't perfect, they loved God, and they told Him they were sorry when they did the wrong thing. So God told Noah that He was so upset that that the people He loved and created hated Him, and they did evil. They did the wrong thing all the time. They did not love Him or care about Him. He said, I'm going to flood the world, but I will save you. And He told Noah to build an ark, a boat. He gave him the sizes and how to build it. And that took many years, but when it was done, God asked Noah to bring the animals 2 by 2, male and female, boy and girl, into the ark. That way, when the flood was over, the animals would be able to multiply and grow in the earth. Two by two, all the different animals that God had ever created came into the ark. And then the rain started to come down. Dark clouds formed. I think the people who didn't love God finally realized what was going to happen. But as the rain came down and down and down, they died because they drowned in the water. But Noah and his family, they were safe in the ark. The boat tossed. It probably felt like it was blowing to and fro. And it rained and rained and rained. But they were glad to be safe within the ark. And with them safely in the ark were the animals that God had sent, 2 by 2, a boy elephant and a girl elephant, a boy cow and a girl cow. And all the animals, two of every kind of animal God had ever made, was safe inside the ark. And soon the water covered the whole world. but Adam and his family and the 2x2 animals were safe within the ark. It rained and rained for 40 days, and when it was done, there was water everywhere. You couldn't see the grass, you couldn't see the land. There weren't any living things around. And it took a long, long time for the water to evaporate and to disappear. And God blew strong winds to make the water spread out and disappear and evaporate. And it took a long, long, long time. It took almost a year. Everyone was excited to get out of the ark. So Noah gave a test. First, he had a raven, a bird, fly out, because he thought, if the bird doesn't come back, there must be a tree or two the bird can live in. But the bird came back. And then Noah took a dove and sent the dove back out, but the dove returned with a branch in its mouth. So Noah knew some things were growing again, that the land had started to turn, that the water had started to disappear and there was land on the ground. And then he sent the bird out one more time, and the bird never came back. I imagine that Noah and his family were so excited to get out of the ark. I imagine that they were ready with leaving the ark, and I'm sure it smelled a lot because all the animals were in there, and they were tired of being so cramped up, and they were so excited to see what it looked like outside. Slowly, Noah and his family got out of the ark. The air was so fresh and cool, smelled so wonderful. They were so happy to be free to run and walk and stretch their legs. And then the animals came out, 2x2. And when they came out, they were just like, whoa, we're finally back where we belong on the land. And they started running and jumping and just stretching their legs and rolling in the grass and tasting some of the grass. And they were so happy. They were no longer confined to just a small area in the boat. Oh, they just spread out. And God said to Noah, and for the animals too, he said, spread out all over the earth, multiply, have babies and more babies, and spread out and fill the whole earth. And he wanted Noah and his family to spread out and fill the whole earth. Oh, they were so excited. But Noah did a very important thing. He built an altar, a special place, to give a sacrifice to God, to thank him for saving his family and these animals. He might have been dead with all the other people, but God had saved them. And on that altar, he placed an animal, and the animal died, which is hard for us to understand, but it showed how much Noah loved God and that he was obeying what God wanted him to do. And God looked down on all this creation that came out of the ark, and God made a promise to Noah and to all the animals too. He said, I will never again flood the world, destroy the world with all this water. I will never again do that. And to give you a sign, a covenant, a promise that cannot be broken, I am giving you the rainbow. And you will see it in the sky from time to time. And it is a reminder that I will never again flood the whole world. I want the world to be filled with animals and with people. And I want you to remember that I will not flood the whole world, that I will work with people and love them, and I still will keep my promise to save the world from sin. I wonder how Noah and his family felt when they were about to go outside. I wonder if they were so excited they couldn't stop talking and laughing. I wonder if they were so excited they could hardly wait to get out and have the door open and get out. And I wonder how happy and how wonderful it must have been to see the animals jumping around and chasing each other in the green grass. I wonder if Noah and his family felt sad when they realized that they were the only people in the world, that no one else, all the friends they had and people they knew and the people they told about God, they were not alive anymore. I wonder what that was like for them. I wonder if Noah and his family loved God even more after the flood. I wonder, when you and I see a rainbow, if we remember that God's promise is to never flood the world again, that God's promise means He is still calling to people to come to know Him and follow Him, and that He will forgive their wicked deeds. He will forgive the evil that they do if they repent and turn to Him.